Guten Tag, Mennonite Moto. It's been a while. I've got about 5,000 kilometers on my bike now, which isn't a lot for most people, but for me, only being able to really get out on weekends and only riding off-road, it's all I can have time for. So 5,000 kilometers, it's been through a lot. I've dropped it a lot, and it's holding up well. I thought I'd show you the upgrades I've done. I got the touring screen. When I'm on the highway, that's definitely nice. When I'm off-road, it's a little bit in your way for seeing everything. Not bad. I don't know if I'd get it again, but on the highway it certainly is nicer. Although I only really drive maybe an hour on the highway at most, and I rarely do that. I'm usually straight to the trails. So that's an okay upgrade. I have the open handguards. I didn't like the bark busters coming all the way around. Great protection with them, but I prefer just an open handguard. It does the job. It's not great. As you can see, I have full coverage here if you fit it in here, but on the right, it doesn't come out very far because of the way the electronic throttle is. There's no way you can move it out further. So maybe I'll modify the bark buster I do have, just cut it off, just so at least my hand has protection coming out further, because right now it doesn't really do anything. I like these mirrors compared to the stock mirrors. I did break one stock mirror, so I switched to these ones, and I've crashed pretty hard with these, and they're right, they really don't break. They'll just rotate on a similar idea as these balls here. So those are good. I did get the GPR stabilizer, which I may or may not recommend. It depends what you're doing. When I go on the highways, I just quickly dial it into 8. And then I set my cruise. That's a lot nicer on the highway, especially bad highways that we have in Canada. They're pretty rough. But as soon as I go off-road or in town at slower speeds, I switch it back to 1. It's just too stiff to steer off-road. I don't really like it. Very stiff. I just keep it at 1, which is basically neutral or off. So depending on what kind of riding you do, maybe if you're riding a lot of hard rocks, or if you're more of an aggressive rider, maybe you would appreciate that. But so far off-road, I don't really use it at all. I broke the stock tower, tried to JB weld it. That didn't last long, so it went to an MST tower, which has been really good. It was a little bit tricky getting all of the wiring in through here, but I have limited tools and I'm not super handy, so for other people it would be no problem. It's nice as a box. You can store your registration, small tools in there. I did switch to a different protection down here. I don't know, the stock was okay. As you know, it's pretty thin. I'm not riding rocks all the time, so maybe the stock would have been fine for me. This is the T-Rex. The nice thing about this, it wasn't too hard to install. I did have to get some different bolts to reach here because I got the Aprilia guards. But it's nice compared to some of the others. You can get at the oil filter very easily right here. You don't have to take the whole thing off. Some other guards, you definitely need to take the whole thing off. So that's good about the T-Rex. I am now leaking oil on the one fork, so I'll get that taken care of. Just a seal. I don't know how common that is. I haven't really read about it yet. Maybe not a huge deal, but something I'm not going to try tackling on my own. I did switch to a larger rear sprocket, and I tried that for a while. 47 teeth on it. I did not like it though. It made the gearing shorter than I liked, and I almost felt like somewhere between second and third was kind of perfect, but it just wasn't quite right on the trails and the speed. I find the stock setup is what I prefer. Keep it in second, it doesn't stall out. You can go real slow in second, but you can still redline it, get up to 60 or 70K on the trails without having to switch gears to third if you really want to, just for short bursts on the trails when it opens up. So went back to the stock on there. And most recently I switched to a different rim, front rim. I haven't had a chance to test this yet, just got it installed. So this is a narrower rim, which now requires a tube. So it's not tubeless anymore, but from what I've read online, people say it's better for off-road, better for sand. I've noticed that this bike, compared to a few others I've been on, like the Tenere, is not very stable in the sand. So I switched to a good sand tire, put a new one on this, Tractionator Desert HT. That's what I had on my stock rim, and it was really good. I'm hoping that it makes a good difference with the new rim. It's hard to tell just looking, but I suppose this is rounded out more. Definitely rounded more, not as flat as the stock. But I'll have to hit the trails and then we'll see how it actually performs. So the next upgrade that I think I'll do next year is change the headers and exhaust. And now I have found that you can get a stage 2 airbox set up, which is okay, rated okay for dust and sandy areas. So I think I'll get that set up next year and then reflash it. I have the reflashing device, the up map device. So we'll try that next year.